Chaos and trying to win someone over feels like love. Peace and someone accepting you as you are, that doesn't feel right. You might be attracted to people chemically who are really bad for you. This chemical, whatever's firing here, is giving me bad information. It's based on some unhealed part of me that still believes that I can fix the past. The way your mother treated you becomes the blueprint. And today we're talking about how our narcissistic mothers impact our adult relationships. And before I get into that, I wanted to invite you to a live class I'm hosting on May 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is a class on how to heal from a narcissistic mother without years of therapy. And I'm going to teach you my 3 secrets to healing that mainstream self-help and therapy won't tell you. So the link is in the description. I hope to see you there. So I'm going to go through 5 ways this happens or 5 ways this shows up. And the first one is that it feels familiar to you. So if you find yourself in adult relationships where they might be one-sided or where you are not respected or you feel you are taken advantage of, you're over functioning, you are the one doing all the initiating and so on, that is because this is what feels familiar to you. And in fact, it might be the reason why you feel like you're attracting it or that you always end up in relationships like this. It is somewhat familiar to you. And when I say familiar, it doesn't mean it's comfortable or that it feels good. Because remember, this is a survival pattern. So the reason you put up with people who don't treat you well is because in childhood, you learned that that's what you had to do to survive. So your mother treated you abominably, but there was nothing you could do about that. If you tried to stand up for yourself or set boundaries, you would get in trouble for that. You would risk punishment or you would risk withdrawal of her love and affection. You would be rejected or abandoned. So now that is your strategy for staying alive, essentially, is that you might let people get away with things in relationships that other people wouldn't. This is the familiar pattern. This is what feels normal to you. Doesn't mean it feels good because when you're in survival, feeling good is very low on the list of priorities. Staying alive is what we're trying to do. And number 2 has to do with our sense of worthiness. So you might feel, whether it's conscious or unconscious, you feel that you don't really deserve any better. There's this sense of, I don't get what I want, and maybe an underlying belief that I don't deserve it. So if you have this feeling like, I don't really deserve to have what I want, then you're not going to have the relationship of your dreams. And getting what you deserve can be scary. If you have a healthy partner, they're going to see you. They're going to want to get to know you on a deeper level. And there is a part of us as daughters of narcissistic mothers who are afraid of that. Because remember, the real you was never acceptable in the home. You might be repelling healthy partners or friends because you don't want to be truly seen because that feels too threatening. And number 3 is that you may have a sense that you don't get to choose. And so I remember when my daughter, who's now 25, was in grade 9 and she came home and she said, there's this girl in her class that she wants to be friends with. That was her desire, that was her intention, and she set out to become friends with this girl. She chose her. She decided who was gonna be her friend, and I thought that was really amazing, and I was so proud of that because it really showed me the kind of self-esteem that I think I had a part in instilling in her, that she believed that she got to choose who to spend time with. Because when I was that age, I didn't think I had any choice because my mother was narcissistic. She had a lot of control over me. I didn't feel like I had a choice in anything. So I didn't choose people. I just let whoever wanted me have me. So basically, they did the choosing and I just went along with it. I never thought to myself, do I actually like these people? Do I actually want to be with these people? It was more like, no, they'll have me and that's good enough. And so for that reason, I had a lot of frenemies. I had abusive boyfriends and on and on. I just didn't know I had the right to choose. And so if you're not actively choosing who you spend your time with, you're not going to end up with the best, to say the very least. And number 4 is that chaos and trying to win someone over, this feels like love. Whereas peace and someone accepting you as you are, just giving you love freely, that doesn't feel right. So you might notice that you are in relationships where maybe you're constantly having to explain yourself or constantly having to reassure the person or validate your existence even or fight to be seen and heard. You are trying to be good enough to win this person's love. And that, of course, is the pattern that happened in childhood with your mother. No matter what you did, it was never good enough, but you had to keep trying and trying because not having her love wasn't an option. We have to survive. We have to win her love. That's necessary. And even though as an adult, you no longer need that anymore, this boyfriend or this friend, you don't need them to survive, but it feels like that. Not having their approval or their love and acceptance starts to feel like life threatening, just like it did when you were a child. So that's why it's so hard for you to walk away from someone, say an emotionally unavailable partner. Instead, you keep trying and trying to win their love. If I can win their love, I can show that I'm lovable and heal that trauma from the past. But of course, that doesn't happen. All you're doing is recreating the same painful dynamic in a new relationship. And there's nothing you can do. This person is just, for whatever reason, for their own trauma, maybe not able to give you what you need. And my husband was like that. Wouldn't matter what I did or said. I was never going to get the attention and the love and the support that I wanted from him. He just wasn't capable of that. And this is also why you might be attracted to people chemically who are really bad for you. For example, I can remember when I was dating, meeting someone and having a very strong attraction to them, feeling very drawn to them. And I had already started doing my healing. And so I had to ask myself, because he was someone who was kind of like my father, in fact, he was not really giving me attention. He didn't seem that interested. He was kind of there physically, but not in any other way, not emotionally, not even being able to make good eye contact or anything like that. But I was so attracted to him. And I believe that the attraction was based on a trauma bond, based on this kind of something lighting up in me that here's an opportunity to fix the past. If I can make this person love me, I can prove to my parents vicariously that I am in fact lovable. Thank goodness I didn't go anywhere with that relationship. I had healed enough where I could just extract myself. I didn't even have a second date and realize that this chemical, whatever's firing here, is giving me bad information. It's based on some unhealed part of me that still believes that I can fix the past by trying to make things work with this person with whom, in fact, it would never work and would only create the same cycle of pain that I had been through in the past. So be careful of strong chemistry and don't be afraid to allow attraction to grow rather than expecting it right off the bat. Because sometimes the men who are best for you are not the ones who are going to light you up on the first date, maybe the opposite. And number 5, how your mother impacts your adult relationship is due to the fact that you have poor boundaries. She taught you to have poor boundaries, and she did that by withdrawing love anytime you wanted to set them. So in order to keep her love, you would have to not have boundaries. So it was actually very intelligent of your child to not have boundaries because that was a good survival skill, because it would have been quite dangerous to try to have boundaries with your mother. But as an adult, of course, not having boundaries becomes very maladaptive, which means it's holding you back from the best in your life. It's keeping your life very small. And what it does too is often gives narcissists a green light. These types of people will often gauge if you are a good target by testing your boundaries very early. So they will do things at the beginning of the relationship to see whether they can get away with it, essentially. So I can remember having a relationship with a narcissist in the past, and he tested my boundaries early by gaining access to my home earlier than I normally would have allowed that. And then when they see they've gotten past one boundary, they'll push it to another boundary. So the next boundary might be sex. You know, if you had said, I don't want to have sex until a certain point in the relationship, they might push that and do it in a way because they know how to use their charm and all of that stuff and flattery and the love bombing and all of that. They might do it in a way that it's not even coercive, like, you go along with it because you want to, but in fact, it is just proof that you don't have good boundaries, because boundaries are not only for the other person, they're also for yourself. So if you have a boundary that I don't have sex until a certain point in the relationship, you are going to deny yourself that pleasure to be true to your boundary. So the boundary is also with yourself. And if they see that, oh, I can blow through her boundaries, no problem, that she's a great target, that's how they're going to gain entry into your life. And that's how they're going to kind of get their hooks in and create that trauma bond. So it's going to be very hard for you to leave. Sometimes people who don't understand this stuff will ask, well, why doesn't she just leave? And the thing is that there is kind of a calculated campaign that a narcissist does to make it very difficult for you to leave. You know, they use tactics like breadcrumbing, which is intermittent reinforcement, in order to get you to stay. So this is what makes the relationship addictive, even though it's painful. This is just one example of the tactics that they use to keep you hooked in and make it very, very difficult for you to leave. A lot of people think it's only the material, like they kind of explain it to themselves by saying, well, financially, she can't take care of herself. It's often much deeper than that. Yes, that can be a factor, but normally there is some brainwashing and mental manipulation going on at quite a high level that the narcissist uses to, in fact, keep you where you are and make it incredibly difficult on a psychological level, not just a material level, to leave. So those are just 5 examples of how your mother's conditioning can impact your adult relationships. So I hope this has given you something to look out for when you're navigating relationships out there, be they romantic, friendship, or otherwise, and maybe give you a bit of an explanation as to why maybe things in your relationships have not gone the way you wanted them to, how you keep ending up in the same relationships over and over again, and maybe a little insight into what you can do about that. And I Also want to invite you again to my free class on May 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to meet live over Zoom, and I'm going to share with you my 3 secrets to healing from a narcissistic mother that you won't learn through mainstream self-help or therapy. So the link is below. I hope to see you there. Thank you again for listening, and I'll look forward to talking to you next time.